All right, now let's go ahead and start talking about plotting points. Now we've talked about plotting or graphing numbers on a number line, right? On a horizontal line, or the x-axis now we can call it, we can graph a single variable. But what happens if we have multiple variables, like an x and a y? We're going to talk about that now. What we end up getting is what we call a coordinate plane, where the horizontal axis is called the x-axis. Those are all of your x values that we can plot. And then we have the vertical axis, which is our y-axis. These kind of represent different number lines, a vertical number line and a horizontal number line, two different variables. You've noticed that it kind of breaks up this graph into four different parts. We call these parts quadrants. Quadrant 1 is the one in the top right corner, quadrant 1. It then goes counterclockwise from there. So this would be quadrant 2, this would be quadrant 3, and this would be quadrant 4. And we always use Roman numerals to label our quadrants. So make sure you know where quadrant 2 is if I ask you to maybe plot a point in that quadrant, or quadrant 3 or quadrant 4. All right, where the two axes intersect, the x-axis and the y-axis, the point in between, in the middle, is called the origin. Okay, we're going to start by plotting points in our coordinate plane, in our quadrants. An ordered pair is a point in the form x comma y, where the first number represents the x-coordinate and the second number represents the y-coordinate. Remember, the x's are horizontally and the y's are vertically. The x's are side to side and the y's are up and down. And they correspond to a point in that coordinate plane. We can now describe the location of points using ordered pairs of numbers. We can list the horizontal x measurement first and then the vertical y measurement second. So to graph the point A comma B, we would move left or right A amount of units and up or down B amount of units. So if A was positive, we would move to the right. If A was negative, we would move to the left. And if B was positive, we would move up. If B was negative, we would move down. So for example, to graph the point 5 comma negative 3, we would move to the right 5 and down 3 and then plot our point there. Let me show you an example. If I gave you two different points, let's say the points 1 comma 3 versus 3 comma 1. In our first point, our 1 is our x value and our 3 is our y value, or our x coordinate and our y coordinate. I can plot this point by moving right 1 and up 3, and so the point 1 comma 3 would be right there in quadrant 1. It's a little bit different if I ask you to plot the point 3 comma 1. Now 3 is my x coordinate and 1 is my y coordinate. That means I'm going to move right 3 and up 1 this time. So this would be the point 3 comma 1. You notice they're in different locations, so it's really important that you follow the x coordinate and the y coordinate. Left and right first, and then up or down, depending on your numbers in your ordered pair. So I would like you, now that we've plotted a few and I've given you a few examples, I'd like you to try example number 4 by yourself. See if you can plot all of these different points on this coordinate plane. Remember, your first value is your x coordinate and your second value is your y coordinate. I'm going to give you a second and then I'm going to go ahead and reveal all the different points that I've plotted. All right, hopefully you've plotted all of your points. You notice that point A, 3 comma 5 is right here in quadrant 1. I've gone right 3 and up 5. You notice that point B, point B is over here in quadrant 2. Point B was the point negative 3 comma 7. That means I'm going to go left 3 and up 7. Because my 3 is negative, my x coordinate is negative, I'm going to move left 3 and then positive 7, up 7. You notice that point C is down here in quadrant 3. I've gone left 2 and down 4. Point 0 comma negative 8, that might have been a little bit tricky. If my x coordinate is 0, that means I'm not going to move left or right at all. I'm just going to move down 8. And so you notice that point D happens to be on my y-axis at negative 8. You might also notice that point E is 4 comma 0. That means my x coordinate is 4. I'm going to move to the right 4, but my y coordinate is 0. That means I'm not going to move up or down at all. That happens to be my x-intercept, where it touches the x-axis. We're going to talk about that a little bit more later too. And then F, you might have to approximate a little bit because we have a decimal here, but I'm going to go 3 on the X, positive 3, so write 3, and then I'm going to go up 4 and a half Z. So I kind of estimated that point F was right here in quadrant 1. You might have to estimate a little bit anytime you have decimals when you're graphing. So try to get in between 4 and 5, about 4 and a half. All right, make sure you know how to plot different points. You can practice that. We're going to be doing lots of things with coordinate pairs from now on, so it's important that you understand that the first number is your x coordinate and the second number is your y coordinate, and you can plot those appropriately.